227 Atlee Road.
Yeah, hi, John Kelly of Caledonia Renovations. The general contractor has been hired to do a renovation and add an addition on at 227 Atlee. And you have a copy of the plan. Let me just roll this down, I guess. So the renovation and addition is going to require the removal of a 40-inch oak located right there. And we are going to replace that with three 2.5-inch trees, 1, 2, 3. I'd like to give you a couple pictures of the tree and also a couple pictures, and I apologize in advance of the quality. The printer didn't work too well. There's the tree. And these two pictures are of the recent storm damage. Several limbs have been broken.
Did you want to, and actually, yeah, actually, would you put those on the
Sure.
table there? Thanks. So it can be seen on the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, first is a picture of the tree, the large oak tree. And in the most recent storm, several limbs have been broken and are hanging in the tree at this point. Close-up shot of the broken limb. I'd estimate it's in the neighborhood of 12 to 16 inches in diameter. And they're now hanging over the existing house. And here's a further back shot where you can see that's the broken limb there, and the limbs are suspended in the tree. So our request is to remove this tree so we can move forward with the addition.
Okay, so you can now move those off the plan. Thanks. And then there's a 30-inch oak listed on the plan that with an X on it.
Yeah, that was from the previous. That should be that X shouldn't be on there. That tree will remain during the project, and we'll probably elevate some of the branches in order to get the new addition in.
All right, so the 30-inch oak is remaining.
For the time being, yes.
And the patio that is right next to it, is that a new patio or is an existing patio?
That's existing.
Okay, and then the pool is existing?
That exists,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, the new addition right here and right there.
Just as some background for me. Just as a little background for me, how do we start with this last time?
I was in front of you to remove the 40-inch heritage, although there was some other trees listed on there that we were going to replace. And I had those removed off the chart, the planning schedule. And I think you also requested some pictures, which I've provided, and you also requested the stormwater pit to be located on the plan. And that was in development at the last meeting. It has now been completed. These drawings are, in fact, stamped by the engineer and ready for submission for a grading permit. So the site plan, the stormwater plans here.
Right.
That's a field area. It's not requiring any other tree removal.
And these are the 3 new trees. These two.
So 2 of the new trees are going where the topsoil stockpile will go, and then one is just to the southeast of it, is that right? Is that
Yeah.
where the 3 trees are?
Yes, right, that is the front of the house, in fact.
This is the water line here, right?
Okay.
Yeah, one of these is yes, 4-inch PVC, that's probably the sanitary line. This is probably the fresh water supply. Excuse me, what's this, down below the water field, just a bit further down the hill, there's a line with the crosses on it, what's that?
That's a silt fence, right?
Just a silt fence?
Yep, there's silt fences.
Okay, is that a water line? Or, no, excuse me, the line with the dots?
That's tree protection.
Fine. It says pool fence, but that's all right. That's all right, thank you.
This is the line from, this is how he's gonna pick up all the gutters here.
Which this, it says that it's pool fence.
Proposed storm drains.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're right, it says pool fence.
Yeah, but this other thing, the storm drains are right next to the pool fence line, is that correct, by the pool? Is that what that dashed double line is?
Yeah, that looks, yeah, there is. That's actually a patio around the pool, there is no fence.
All right, but there's a line which looks like it's sort of dashed along there, is that the?
That's a stormwater system, right, with a CO, a clean out.
Okay, right here, this is the cleanout. Now, is that existing? Or is that
No,
gonna,
that'll be new.
what'll be the impact on the roots of this 28-inch oak tree, for example, or this, what is it, ash? Will that have an impact?
I mean, it's probably going to be dug a foot deep, so it could be some impact, but, I mean, we
You
can,
would cut any roots that are there, yeah.
The pool's there, is that correct?
the pool is there, that's right.
Now, where, is that you have the pool, the inner line, and then the outer line. Is the outer line the concrete around the framing of it?
That's a walkway, that's correct, going around the outside
So
line.
you really couldn't get that sanitary line, or that storm drain line any closer to the pool?
I mean, we could, I mean, we could dig it right next to that. I mean, there's probably some,
What's that, a couple feet?
yeah, I think we could get it closer than it's being depicted there, yeah.
Would that make a difference on a tree root?
The further away, the better, yeah. Because the roots, I would imagine, go right to the pool wall. So having it as close to the pool wall would help.
How long's the pool been there? Long time?
Yeah, I would say it's at least 25 years old,
All right.
at least.
So whatever impact it would have had on the roots it long ago had. Sorry to ask so many questions.
Those are all good.
Now, there's a pool fence that's not installed yet, is that correct, or is it? That's that line that has little, round spots on it all the way along?
I think, and you
No,
led,
that's the, that's tree protection.
So even though it's labeled pool fence, it's tree protection?
Yes, there is no pool fence, and that would be tree protection, yeah.
All right, well, your index down below, about where your hand is, doesn't say that.
It looks like tree protection and pool fence are the same almost. It's a line with a circle on it.
All right, well then, I misread, forgive me.
No, you didn't.
more dots.
It's the spacing that must have been.
Actually, that's a square. It looks like a line with a square.
Okay. But But since there is no pool fence, it's just
Tree-
superfluous to be on here.
That's, yeah, it looks to me like it's a line with circles on it that's going
Right.
down that. So that would be tree protection by the legend.
Right, but then 3 lines below that, it says pool fence, and that's where we're getting confused. So you have it listed on the key, but you say there is none in existence.
And
there
I
will
don't
be
see any
none.
on the plan. I don't see anything with a line and a square on it. Unless I'm missing something, I'm looking. I see lines with circles, which are tree protection by the legend. So if there was a pool fence on there, it'd be on the drawing. It's not.
And what is that, chain link fence, or what kind of fence? What kind of tree protection? That orange?
It's the orange, right, snow fence, yep.
And is the driveway new coming in?
There is some new driveway to be added, but no, that driveway exists.
Okay.
There's
What-
existing drive and then some new sections to be added.
All right, so why don't you show us, point out on the map where the new goes?
There's some new here and new there, new paving. And there's new paving here and here. Reconstruct the drive, new paving.
The paving's being removed here and added on this side,
Okay.
giving the drive more of a sweep.
And then having the tree protection fence go further towards the entrance than where the construction is that's just to keep the construction vehicles staying on the existing drive, is that the purpose?
That's correct.
Now, this wouldn't, would this have any effect on these streets of this thing here, the driving over it? I mean, are those vehicles any heavier than cars or, light trucks or something?
And is it a paved driveway?
Paved driveway, that's correct.
Or would that affect?
So as long as they stay on the drive, no.
There's ample parking there. I don't anticipate many folks parking off the drive.
I was concerned about ultra-heavy trucks going up the drive and damaging the roots, but if it's paved, it won't make any difference.
And to our right of the driveway, there's a line that it says prop contour. I think that's how it's defined. It's a dark, straight line that's kind of parallel to the driveway. Yes, there. What is that? Is that proposed contour, so that'll be a change in the contour? Is that what that means?
Existing contour, proposed contour. Unsure, I didn't know we were proposing any contour changes on that side. There's no real need to.
Does it link with this grade line here, this
It's a high point, I mean, it's a high point of the property is in that corner.
398? Do you have to cut and fill to get that level, to extend that driveway to make it a level area there?
The new, maybe a little bit. I mean, it's pretty level there already. Where the reconstructed drive is.
Yeah, to push that shoulder, to make that sweep in that drive, you gotta fill that, or cut.
We need to-
You got to fill that a little bit, right?
Right, we might have to cut it out to put base in.
So is that line, that dark line, is that the proposed excavation area extended away from the driveway to make that contour then?
I wouldn't see that we'd need to go that far away.
I'm just worried more about, there's a big poplar down here, toward Toward the bottom, I guess.
Here's the microphone.
32-inch. There's a 32-inch poplar down toward where that driveway starts to bend there.
Mm-hmm.
I would just be worried about if we were going to get down into start to impact the root zone of that tree. If we're going to start to be grading down there, that's all.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be going near that tree.
So do you want, so what you're saying will be done is different than what's drawn?
Well, what I'm saying is that I don't think we're going to have to get that close to the tree. I don't know why that line is sitting out there floating. We're not changing the level there. I mean, it's pretty close to the same grade as the driveway.
Okay. The reason we're concerned about that is changing the grade there would be impacting the roots. So if you're saying there is no change there, then we're not understanding why it's drawn that there will be a change there.
I'm not sure I don't know what that line means. I'm not changing the grade there. I'm planning on going a little wider here so they can make a turn into the drive, or into the garage.
Okay, so we could say that you agree that there will be no contour change there.
That's correct, yep.
Okay. And then could the silt fence run right along the driveway? The silt fence, or the tree protection fence?
Right now, the tree protection's already up, and it's as depicted here, and I don't think there's no roots in this area that I'm pointing at. I mean, there's no trees. So why would we need tree protection all the way down to the drive down here? There's not a tree within 50 feet.
Why don't you look at your plan and see where it goes? It goes right through right under the, right, you just showed
Right.
it going through quite a few trees. So that's where my concern is.
Your concern of, there's no construction within 100 feet of that. So you want this moved down to the drive?
Well, so that tree protection fence is already put up as shown.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And we can move it to the drive. I mean, it's more than wide enough drive for trucks to come up without having to go off. I don't have my scale, but looks to be at least 12 feet wide.
Okay, then yes, why don't you move it
Okay.
along the driveway?
It's fine.
Other questions?
Just when you're going to be digging that, what is this, the line, the water, the storm water line that's
Yes.
on the side of the pool. You don't have a whole lot of room between your tree fence and the pool itself. So what are you going to use equipment-wise to dig that with when it gets that tight? I'm just worried about if you bring a big machine that's actually bigger than what you have here, you're going to have to move the fence out of the way. And I'm wondering, there's so many trees that are going to be impacted. There's probably a dozen trees you're going to be cutting roots from just digging this one line, that if you could scoot that as close to the pool as you could and give yourself just enough room for the smallest machine you could bring in there so you can stay away from the root zone of all
Yeah, I don't
all these
anticipate
trees.
using a big piece of equipment. It's just a 6-inch sanitary pipe. It's going a foot down. I mean, anything could,
Like
it's
a mini,
tiny.
like a mini excavator or something
Oh,
like
yeah.
that, you get in there,
Definitely.
rather than a backhoe or something.
Yeah, we're not going to have a backhoe dig that.
That'd be my main concern there, Bill.
Okay.
If this fence could be beefed up a little bit, I don't know. It's,
So we're asking that the storm drain go as close to the pool as possible. And the rules are that the tree protection fencing, once it's in where it's agreed upon, will not be moved during the construction. And we're going to have the tree protection fence that's to the
Entrance of the drive,
entrance
closest to the
driveway,
drive.
right?
Yep.
Okay.
And then that contour line is not going to be, is not being used, it's going to be changed, it's just going to be taken off.
Right, so
Yeah, I'll
there's
have
no
that removed,
contour
yep.
change there.
And this oak tree with an X on it is staying. The
That's
30
staying, that's correct, yeah.
30-inch oak is staying there.
Yeah, we're going to just elevate the limbs at this stage.
And you'll put them on the plans and put new seal on it, is that right?
Yeah, well, yep,
Okay.
yep.
Okay.
And submit it for grading permit, yep. All righty,
Thank you.
thank you.
.459 Barclay Road.
Good evening. My name is Paul Finley. I'm with Nolan Companies, and we will be the builder for 459 Barclay Road for Eric and Karen Strid. I have here some updated plans for you.
Okay. And do you have enough plans to show? You have them listed there, great.
There currently exists a home there. We're going to demolish that and build a new home. We have submitted to the township for grading permit. We got some comments back from Dan Malloy, the township engineer, and some of those have been incorporated into the plans you now have before you.
Are all the trees on the neighbor's property within 10 feet of the
Yes,
property
and
shown?
that's one of the things that was changed between the two sets of plans also.
Okay, so all trees on the neighbor's
Yes.
nearby is shown, okay?
There are a total of 9 trees we'll be taking down. We intend to replace them with 10 trees. We'll meet the township standards for them. We'd just like to wait until we get the house situated and have the landscape architect come out and meet with the client to actually situate and pick the species of trees. But they'll all be in conformance with the township plant list that's approved. The house is shifting back a little bit from its current position where the existing home is to allow for the driveway regrading. The trees along the, as you approach from the street, the left side of the driveway are being removed to put some grading swale in there to drain the water so it doesn't sheet drain across the driveway. The two driveways come in side by side. In fact, the neighbor's driveway is as close to the property line or across it as you might like it to be. So we're just trying to effect some better drainage of water through that area.
So there's a 34-inch maple that's being removed, and then the next largest one is a 16-inch diameter cherry. Is that correct?
That is correct. And the maple, marginal value.
I'm sorry.
The maple's of marginal value. I mean, it has not been, the property has not been well maintained, so a lot of the trees, in fact, there's half of a pine tree down in the backyard.
So are you saying the maple is in bad condition? It's in poor health?
It's not a specimen tree, I would think. And we're going to, as we move the house back, we get much too close to it to try and preserve it.
Do you have your sanitary lines marked on this?
Yes. Alongside sanitary, or alongside the water, I apologize, it is not marked. And we are not anticipating going back to the street and redoing that. We're anticipating, connecting with that inside the property line, away from those trees.
It's a decent, did they scope it, or is it a decent line? Is it PVC, do you know, or?
I have not seen it yet. No.
Can you just draw a line with your, or with just your finger where the sanitary line runs? Where the,
It's right in this area here.
all right. And is that line, the Long Island is something that's going to be constructed, or is that,
That is all new.
yeah,
The driveway will all be newly constructed driveway.
all right. So Plan C1's new and Plan C5 is demolished. Is that
C1 is demolish.
All right.
C5 is the new grading permit. The other way around. Yep. C1 is the new.
I'm sorry, sir?
C1 is the new plan, that's correct. And it does show some of the demolition on there. But C1 shows the new house.
And you say the
And-
the water line's right next to the sanitary line?
They enter the house very close to each other. The
All right.
sanitary, the water line is here, and the sanitary line is just alongside that.
All right. Thank you.
The electric is fed from the rear aerial right now. We anticipate that probably will go underground per new PICO, but we haven't had any contact with them yet. And we'll be able to
Well, that
avoid-
underground line, it won't have any effect on any of the trees, right?
I don't think so. We should certainly be able to maneuver around any of the trees. It's not our intention to get in the middle of any of them.
So where will that go? Where,
The electric line currently runs in the back of the property, right here. And the electric line comes off of this pole here, aerial to the corner of the existing home. So we will probably come off of this pole underground to the rear of the house, of the new home.
But there are no trees there, so it's not going to affect
That's
it right
right.
now.
so what is, it that looks like it's drawn as it's a wooded area? Is that,
It's overgrown. The trees are all shown, but it's just overgrown, forsythia and weeds and whatever else might be there.
okay.
Just walk us through that grade change around that circle. You have to get that area where the circle is a little bit more level than it is now?
Yes, you can see the proposed contours, the darker lines
Right, got
are the
you.
new proposed contours. We're bringing the contours up to level off the circle
Right.
in the front yard.
Okay. I just have a couple trees along that property line, a 26-inch maple, a 30-inch fir. So you're going to be bringing the grade up and then just contouring that back down toward the property line, like?
Yes, match the existing grade there.
So how close will the disturbance, I'm not seeing where there's a tree protection fence for that fir tree. Is there one shown?
Have the next, around each one of them. If you look, it's not maybe as clearly denoted as we might like it, but.
Sorry, I'm trying to point and
Uh-huh.
do it at the same time. So if you look around, you'll see a little semicircle around the trees with an X on it, and that is the denotation or legend for tree protection. I would anticipate we'll probably put a safety fence up along the entire property line just to keep everybody on the property. So we'll just continue that along there.
Are you planting any new trees?
We have 10 trees proposed that we're required to do, and I would anticipate we'll probably do a few more than that. We have not selected the locations or the species. We'll do that in conformance with the township standards, but what we'd like to do is get the house situated on there, have the landscape architect come out, meet with the client, fit it in the best possible way.
So with the, coming up along the property line, there's a 30-inch maple. This is coming up from the bottom of the drawing. So No, so start at the other end, go further down, below the,
See 30-inch fir, 26-inch maple, 30-inch maple right here?
okay, so those two trees, so how close will the limit of disturbance be for those trees?
Looks like our proposed contour is 20 feet, 1 inch equals 20. We're probably 10 feet away. And
Okay.
the disturbance will consist of fill as opposed to excavation.
Okay, and the result on the roots will be about the same, which would be killing roots. Is there any way you can move the disturbance further away?
Sure. I mean, I think as we get out there, how far would you like it? The drip line or?
How far out is the drip line?
I would say on that 30-inch maple, I'd have to check that for you before I could. I wouldn't have a problem saying we would stay outside that and agreeing to that. But I think to
Okay.
give you a dimension today, I think I'd only be guessing.
Uh-huh, okay.
But there's enough room there, and we were probably, maybe 15 to 18 feet. I don't think we're quite 20 feet there, but we're probably 15 feet away from the trunk of the tree already. To move it another couple feet is not going to be an issue. And again, we're not putting, fill dirt of 2-foot depth at that point. We're tapering to that, so I think we have some, latitude there to.
Right. So could we have it that you will have the tree protection fence
At the drip line?
put at the drip line or further and will not be moved and will not have any soil put past the drip line close and into the tree roots there?
I think we can agree to that, sure.
Bill, if it's possible, do you see how you have your tree protection fence in the back along the wooded area here? It's a one continuous line of tree fence. It's a long
So I'm
line.
going to put my finger on here because I can't see what you're pointing at. So are you
Yeah,
talking about along
right,
here?
exactly. If
And then
it-
just come along here?
Right, but if,
I'm not quite sure why the engineer did it that way. It would be my anticipation that we would stick a safety fence along the limit of disturbance.
okay. And then would it be possible to come up on where this 30-inch maple is with a continuous line of
Yeah.
tree protection fence?
I think we would probably do that the engineer did this for engineering purposes. As a practical matter, we're going to probably put that on there from a, trash control, if you will, point of view.
Yeah.
We end up putting safety fence around the perimeter of the property almost.
Okay.
Yeah.
And safety, keeping kids out, all those kinds of good things. So I'd have no
Okay.
problem.
Yeah, so we'd like that, so all the way up around, it'd be continuous.
We'll just
and
put
then-
continuous safety fence around the perimeter of the property.
And, well, and I'm not agreeing to around the perimeter, I'm saying outside of the drip line.
Excuse me,
So,
continuous
yeah,
around the
yes,
property.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
yeah, so continuous and then outside of the drip line.
Right.
Of all the trees, including in the front, as long as, and as well on the side.
The only front,
Yeah.
if difficulty might be up front, is we have to go through there for any utilities. We may have to interrupt that temporarily.
Well,
and we're-
interrupting temporarily is the same as interrupting permanently.
Well, we got to
If we have
talk,
to replace a utility line, it is.
well, we're going to replace the electric line in the back.
Electric's going to be back. We do have a gas line coming up front. I don't know what the condition of that line is, and we don't know what the condition of the water line is, and we don't know what the condition of the sewer line is.
Now, do they go underneath or near the roots of some of those trees? Or you don't know exactly
Excuse
where
me?
they run? You don't know exactly where they run? Do they run through the tree roots?
I would say that they're probably going to be within the drip line of a tree. It's almost impossible for them not to be.
Just what we're trying to avoid is limiting the disturbance between
To those
the
trees.
out front, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
if we're going to trench the water line, and then we're going to trench the gas line, then we're going to take out this 24-inch tree out front on either side, you know what I mean? Because we'll be trenching on either side. And then if you find out that your sewer line's no good, then we're going to be trenching close to that locust tree. So what we're trying to think about is, I mean, if there's any way that you can, if you knew what the condition of, if they can be mold for a certain period of time, you can go underground past those trees and then start digging, or
We can look at
whatever.
all those things. I don't know, the extent of whether we're going to be able to do that until we get out there and look at it. Certainly with the gas line, should be able to go back in that same trench. Water line should be. Sewer is probably the more difficult of the three.
Our biggest problem is if we give everyone easy access between these trees, it ends up being a free-for-all, do you know what I mean? If we cordon them off to begin with, then
Yep.
we have a better chance of trying to save them.
Our hope is that we don't have to go out to the street, but again, we don't know the extent of that at this point. And I don't think we're going to know until we,
Right, because it opens up a whole nother area, people stockpiling equipment and materials and that kind of thing, it's.
well, we wouldn't allow them to do that, for sure. I'm okay with that part. But if we have to go out there, even if we mow, we're still going to have to dig out at the street line, either in the street bed for the water line, and where the gas line's usually behind the curb. So even if you have to dig down and put a mole machine in there, you're still digging in this area of concern. And I fully understand that. And I understand too, a trench of 2 inches wide or 2 foot wide really doesn't make a lot of difference in terms of the damage to the trees. So we're very sensitive to that.
The existing driveway is going to be ripped out.
That's correct.
You don't show it getting ripped out at the apron, unless it doesn't
We're not
say-
changing the grade that much down once we get to that point because we have to maintain the same grade coming off the street line.
Right.
So we're anticipating just being able to overpave that. We end up having to change the grade as we come further away from the street, and that's what's causing us to pull the existing driveway out.
Okay. Because that would be the biggest concern for us is between the Sycamore and between 2 sycamores. If we start to rip out that whole apron, like if we're going to put in Belgian block apron or something like that, and we have to rip out that whole apron with the backhoe, we're going to be running into a lot of the root systems of these 2 trees. If it's just going to be top coated, that would be, that'd be one thing. But if it's all coming out, it's depicted as not coming out, but it's going to be a
At this time,
concern.
there are no plans to tear it all out, and I'll be willing to state that. And if we had to come back to you, if we wanted to tear that out further than we're talking about overlaying it, we'd come back to you if that's what you want.
Okay. See, the limit of the disturbance bill is just uphill.
Because we're not proposing to change the grade inside, it's really almost inside the right-of-way line there. We
Right.
really can't change that per township specs.
So with the trees in the front, what would you be able to do to have as continuous as possible tree protection fencing that you would not be moving? The idea of tree protection fencing is once it's put up, it is not moved
Right.
until all the
So-
construction is done, so.
We could offer a two-phase tree protection there. We can put rings around the trees as wide as we can and pick, if we had to go in there and do anything, we'd pick the middle spot between 2 trees.
That way you're limiting risk on the 2, unless you just want to sacrifice one.
But you can't.
Those trees are about, I don't have a ruler, but I'm going to tell you, they're probably about 35 feet apart from each other. We're
Do you show your soil stockpile on here? If you're going to be piling up?
The soil stockpile in the beginning will be right where the island is.
In the center, right
Yep.
in the center here?
Mm-hmm. And we'll probably put a little bit of topsoil around the back just so we don't have to track it around later on.
Other questions?
Just if this grading on this side of the property,
So can I come up there to see?
yeah, can be made a little bit steeper, so we're not going to be impacting the root zone of these trees here.
I
So-
think what was, that we try and hold it outside the drip lines.
Yeah, so
As long as we don't violate tangent slopes, but we may be able to put a couple boulders in there.
that's what I'm thinking,
Yeah,
if that's possible,
we can take a look and see. Yeah, I mean, because that pine's not that big anyway.
right,
You know, the tree's the span of the tree.
right. And then, anything that can be done about making some continuous tree protection in front would be great
Well,
to try to save these trees, that's
We will
all.
put continuous tree protection across here, and we'll also put the circular one inside of that, so that if for any reason we did have to go in, we're at least maintaining it there. I didn't hear whether or not you were okay with going through the center, and I don't know if this is being picked up on microphone or not, but going through the center point of the trees, particularly in this particular case, these trees are considerably apart. These two are a little closer. That seems to be the water, and if we're lucky, that's the one that'll be the easiest to mold. We may even be able to attach to the existing pipe and pull it through. Done that before. Depending on what pipe this is, this could be galvanized, but that's the easiest. The sewer's the one that gets a little more tricky.
Right. And that's those things are just kind of unknown right now.
My guess is the sewer lines.
Move the mic again for him.
My guess is these sewer lines, I used to live right on Roberts Road, and I remember when they brought the sewers up there, it was in the mid-60s, I think, so, you know, the 40-year-old sewer lines.
I had a friend that lived at 458 across the street.
Is that about when it was?
And he moved in about 64, 65.
Yeah, not bad memory, huh? Good guess. There's a college next door to where I grew up, and I remember they brought sewers up to do that. It used to be Cushing Junior College, now Port Ridge.
You know what you want to do?
I get, our summary here is going to be to extend our tree protection fence, the length of the property line.
Continuous tree protection fence around, but not on the perimeter, just inside of the drip lines.
As far as possible.
Yep.
And if you can tighten up those grading lines within code, so we're not going to be impacting these trees so greatly, start your grading as far away from them as possible. If boulders can be put in to give you your holdback, if that's possible, to remain at grade underneath the drip line, if that's an option, that would be that would help keep intact the root zone of these plants. And whatever we can do out front with our tree protection to make it continuous as much as possible, Bill, with the idea that utilities may have to come through there.
And we'll try and mold utilities where possible.
And if they do start digging and start impacting a number of roots, to have an arborist or someone be able to make some clean cuts to initiate some fibrous root activity so that the roots aren't getting all ripped up by the backhoe.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. Do you want to keep those copies or? Thank you very much.
Okay. 615 Newtown Road.
Good evening. Dave Fiorello from Omni Associates and Chip Vaughn, who's acting as a consultant on behalf of the estate. This is the estate of the George Atterbury. The property is at 615 Newtown Road, pretty much at the intersection of Newtown Road and Radnor Chester Road. We have a vicinity plan of the site. We are proposing here to subdivide the 13 acres of the property into 4 residential lots. There's an existing dwelling on the property. That dwelling will remain as one of the lots, so we're proposing the construction of 3 new homes on the property.
You want to just point out the existing residence that is,
The existing residence shown on the plan is
Okay.
pretty much in the center of the site. There's an existing one-story framed garage outbuilding, which will be removed as part of the work. There's an existing driveway that comes in right at the intersection of Newtown and Radnor Chester Road. That driveway was actually the former location of Radnor Chester Road back before the turn of the last century. It was abandoned when Sproul Road was put in here. So there's an existing driveway along there that is tree-lined with very mature specimen trees along there. There's an existing driveway that comes into the site to the west of the property, actually through an easement through the rear yards of the adjacent properties. The proposal here is to subdivide the property into 3 lots, four lots, 3 new houses. Lots 1, 2, and 3 have frontage on Newtown Road. Lot 4 actually has frontage on Sproul Road, but has access through a common driveway that will serve the properties coming in off of the existing driveway to the west of the site. Lot 3 will be served by the existing driveway at the corner that comes out at the corner of Newtown and Radnor Chester Road, and we're proposing to remove the paving from the point where the new driveway would cut off down through that alley of trees. We're proposing a new common driveway to come in through lots 1 and 2 to serve lot 4. There is an existing sanitary sewer that serves the existing dwelling that is on lot 2. It's an 8-inch line that comes up through the property. We're proposing to branch that off to extend that line to serve the new lots. That sewer line is shown coming through behind the house on lot 4, just into the corner of lot 3, and then extending behind the house on lot 2 to serve lot 1. When we did our survey here, the survey was done aerial phometrically. We actually, in the area of disturbance, in the area of development, we located all the trees. There are trees shown on the plan with size and species within the area of development. There are trees along the periphery of the site that haven't been identified since we weren't planning on getting anywhere near them. We have stormwater management plans associated with the new houses. And once again, this is a design to show the feasibility of subdivision. We will be back to you when the time comes for individual permit plans for each lot when it comes time to develop those lots. But we're here tonight to present what we have and to seek your comments.
I visited the site this afternoon, and Chip and I talked about several things of perhaps moving the sewer line if you're able to. Is it closer to the creek? There's a grove of cherry trees.
Chip stopped into the office after he met with you, and we discussed them, and we felt that we were concerned with not extending it too far before the trees. We were trying to make a good trade-off between some of the existing trees and knowing that we had to extend some things. And I believe that we can relocate that line that you had a concern with to shorten up the lateral that would be coming in from the other house. That would probably lessen some of the disturbance to, the better species trees that are on the site.
Okay. For Doug and Jim, what it is, there's a grove of cherry trees that probably have a lifespan of 10 more years. And then there's a golden rain tree that also would not live much more than 10 years. But uphill from there is a Norway spruce that's in good health, and also a sugar maple in good health. And so staying away from those two trees that could live another 50 to 100 years would be worth, if they're able to move the sewer line away.
And I understand there was another comment about where we're crossing the existing driveway, if you will, with the new driveway. There's a number of mature trees along there that we were trying to trade off, and my understanding is you would like to see the driveway shifted further to the south if it will, to preserve the pine tree, which my
Right, I
understanding
think there
is
was a
better
maple
tree.
that had, it looks like it has a hollow trunk, whereas the spruce is, looks like it's in good shape. So moving it closer to the maple, or I felt that the maple was probably not going to have a long lifespan. And then there was a false cypress, a saguaro false cypress, that's in great shape. In moving the driveway away from that, would preserve
felt that
a
we
very
could-
attractive tree, yeah.
We
It's
can
in great
accommodate
health.
that. We are scheduled to be in front of the Planning Commission on next Tuesday night, and I'm sure they will have comments also, so we will incorporate yours along with theirs, and I'm sure we will be back with
Okay.
revised plans.
So what, you wanted our initial comments, and so,
So tonight, we're talking about the improvements, initial improvements to this parcel to be subdivided into four, so we're talking about
We're
sewer
talking
lines?
about the sewer lines, we're talking about the lot lines and configuration, we're talking about the common driveway,
We're talking about driveway,
the common driveway coming in, we're talking about that configuration. And we're willing to take into account some of the issues that have been raised in discussion tonight. We will be back, like I said, when it comes time to do grading permits for the individual house, but at this time, it's probably the configuration of the common driveway and the configuration of the sewer lines and the configuration of the lots, really, that I guess would have the most impact at this point in time.
Okay. So you had a good view of it, Bill?
it looked to me like the planning, was taking into consideration the value of some wonderful trees on the site.
We walked
and
the
there
site,
seemed-
we walked the site with a bare plan, knowing that, we have 13 acres, it's 1 acre zoning. We're only after, 3 new lots, 4 lots here, so the density that probably could have been achieved through conventional zoning, we're not going anywhere near that density. But when we worked with the layout, knowing where we wanted to at least position the houses, the houses are set back away from the street. We have slopes along the front. The whole front of the site is treed. So the open areas pretty much for the development are pretty much towards the center of the site. So we felt that preserving the area along Newtown Road, preserving the area along Spur Road, which are treed and sloped, we didn't have a lot of places really to place the lot. So we placed them in such a way, and we tried to orient the driveways around it so that our impact to the trees were as minimal as we could.
And the lots towards the east, is that 3 and 4?
Lot 3
Yes,
at the
the-
top, and this is
Right,
lot
and
4.
that's pretty much a grassy area. There are very few trees in that area.
Yes, in
where
that
those
area. We have a
houses are
number
going.
of trees around the perimeter, but
Right.
for the most part, that area is open.
And we will have, when each of those houses come, you'll come, or someone will come to actually have the approval on.
Yes, I
what
mean,
work
we
is
show
done.
a typical house, a typical size house that would be in there. I'm sure when the time comes and there'll be regular architectural plans that will incorporate the various layouts. But at this time, we're trying to get our lots
Okay.
and our access.
Right, and then Lot 1, the one on the left, the house location, they're all younger trees, and I would say less significant trees on the property there. So the sites for the 3 new houses look to be well chosen as to have the minimal of disturbance to the significant trees on the property. And with the willingness to move the driveway, the new driveway, as well as the sewer line to protect some of the significant trees, I thought, it seemed like it was a good plan to me.
so we're not locked into the actual spot where these houses are right now.
To a point where with the lot lines, we're defining building envelopes.
Right.
But, for instance, on Lot 3, with the driveway coming in here and the row of trees in here, we don't think we're going to the other side, so we're pretty much confined to this corner of Lot 3. Same thing with Lot 4, with the tree line and the proximity of Sproul Road here. We're pretty much locked in with the corner of Lot 4. Lot 2 is existing.
Right.
So Lot 1, we have slopes along Newtown Road, we have a stream in the back, we have technically an area on the other side of the stream, but we don't want to cross the stream to get to that. Yeah, I mean, if we were to come across here, we could access the back of the lot by crossing the stream. We won't want to do that. So we're pretty much defined the area of building. We don't have a lot of leeway, I don't think.
Just for my interest, that lot was number 4, I guess it is, the bottom right one? That crosses Sproul Road?
Yes, it does. There's a piece on the other side. The title goes through there. This, right now, is all floodplain, wetlands associated with the stream. At this point in time, we're keeping it as part of Lot 4. Right now, the area is large enough that if it were decided to take this piece and somehow or another pass it on to some of the adjoining property owners or whatever, we'd still have sufficient area left over. I think that lot, as we have it laid in here, Lot 4 is 4 acres. This piece here on the side is a little over an acre and a half, so there would still be 2.5 acres left.
And it has that little point that goes down along.
Yeah, I think this piece of property has some history. I'm not privy to it all, but knowing that Radnor Chester Road, or it may have been Sproul Road at one time that came through there back before I was around, before any of us were around, I'm sure it has some history.
Just as a ballpark from how this is laid out, any speculation as far as the number of trees that are going to be coming down?
We have, based on this plan here, if you go sheet 5, we have listed, based on the layout that we have here, Lot 1 has 21 trees being removed, and that's the number of the pine trees. Lot 2, there are 2 trees, as we have shown it here, and I think with some manipulation, we can probably change that.
Yeah, the cedar, I think, is the false cypress.
Right, okay. Lot 3, we have 7 to be removed, and Lot 4, we have 2 to be removed.
And I think most of what's listed as pines or Norway spruces.
Well, look, that's great if we can save that many trees on that. There's some beautiful trees over there.
Right.
Your summary?
Huh?
So this is not a final decision, you're looking for comments?
We're
and
looking
we-
for comments. Like I said, we have to go in front of the Planning Commission on Monday night. I'm sure the Planning Commission will have comments also.
But it looks to me like
Tuesday
it's
night.
well thought out, that we've made some suggestions to save some of the significant trees,
And we will-
and it sounds like you're willing to
We will take a look at them and-
advantage of those
yeah, take it.
suggestions.
Yes.
The row of trees is great along that driveway. and
Yeah.
Whatever could be done when they take out that
We're.
roadway, it's going to be.
I know, right now, the roadway is depressed, shall we say,
It is.
4 feet or so from the ground on either side. The challenge comes with crossing it with a driveway and trying to make that work without grading down. We're
Right.
actually looking, try to fill it up in that area and create a small depression where we can pick up some of the drainage that's coming down there.
Right.
But our intent is to take out the asphalt material and leave it as it is. Right now, there's a 16-inch water main that goes through underneath that roadway. So we don't want to make too many changes through there, but the intent is at least to take the pavement out and to try to get that back to a more green state.
Right.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
105 Charles Drive.
Hello, I'm Cale with Elite Tree Care.
Mike DeCiaccio with Home Properties.
Yeah,
Steve with Elite Tree Care.
okay. And then do you have a plan to present or,
I submitted 3
okay,
with pictures.
okay, so. And actually, so is there more than one copy then? Or, so
3 copies
These
of
are-
one plan or 3 different plans?
this is
Three,
yours, is
three
that right?
copies of one plan.
And this is yours, is that right? Does that look?
Correct.
familiar? Okay. So, Sue, is there more than one, or,
Well, I mean, you don't get them all, we have one here, I have an extra one here.
so if we could look at your extra one, and then they could show these on the,
No, no,
yeah,
I just need to back them to go.
okay. Yeah, that, by putting it on the table, then it shows up on the TV. That's, so great. Sorry for that confusion. So then if one of you would like to present the plan then?
We are planning on taking down 17 trees and replanting 37. All of the trees are declining with bacterial leaf scorch, with most of the oaks, and are in close proximity to the building and walkways, producing a lot of dead wood.
This is an existing development, right?
Pardon me?
What is this, an existing apartment house?
Correct.
Yes, yes, it is.
Where? Where's Charles Drive?
Oh, I know.
It's right near County Line Road. It's right
Oh.
corner of Roberts and Conestoga.
And Yang Ming's, not,
It used to be Broadlawn Apartments.
all right, but right across the street from Conestoga is Yang Ming.
Correct.
All right. Sorry.
That's okay.
And so you're not doing construction, you're doing?
Not at all.
There's a number of trees that you feel need to be
Correct.
removed because of their condition.
Yes.
So,
So these pictures coincide with all the trees that are coming down?
Correct.
pretty much? Okay. So we have 10 pictures, or is there,
You only have 10 pictures?
yeah. How many trees are coming down total?
Oh, you should have 7 more.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
No, it's okay. There's more than 10 pictures.
and the pictures were taken within the last month, is that?
Within the last 10 days.
Okay.
Number one is here behind us. What type of tree is number one?
It's a 25-inch diameter
Pin
pin.
oak.
And they're effectively replacing, is that tulip poplar?
And then the replacement listing is, you'll have 5 red maples, 4 white oaks, 3 tulip poplars, 7 zelkovas, 3 Douglas firs, 2 tupelos, 4 honey locusts, 4 white pines, 2 American beech, and 3 little leaf lindens.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, all on your list.
Yeah, it's a nice list of replacement trees.
Thank you.
Tree's right across there, yeah.
We're just going to walk through these, just so, if you help us out a little bit, we're just going to go around the horn here and check them out. Just number 3, you have a pretty good-sized pin oak.
Yeah, actually, what might be good is if you could put the
Yeah.
photograph
On the drawing.
on drawing, and then just point out where that tree is.
And just what's going on, so we have an idea of, what we're all looking at,
And just
like,
say that it's in bad, say
Yeah,
what
whatever
you
the-
found on the tree.
Number 3 is really close to the building. It's has dropped some dead wood on top of the building. There's a electric line running through it, and it's starting to get some leaf scorch.
And 3 is another pin oak, 26-inch diameter.
Now, what he's saying is a bad thing, I assume.
And there's the electric wire.
This is the canopy of that tree,
Okay.
right?
All right. So there's a lot of dead in the canopy.
Okay. Number 4,
Number 4 is a red oak, 25-inch diameter.
Right, in a restricted root zone. It's starting to have some dieback.
Could you just point out 4 on the map? That'll, I'm having trouble finding it. No, I don't feel so bad. You're gonna-
It's up there. That one's right over,
Okay.
that one's right over a roadway too, and it's got some significant dieback right to the entrance to the main parking area.
next week, right, some girdling roots design.
Looks like there are girdling roots on it too, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Number 5 is to the right of number 4 by Building E on Charles Drive. It has significant dieback. It's been pruned numerous times.
Been what?
Pruned numerous times.
Yeah, a lot of dieback in the canopy. It's a red oak, 23-inch diameter.
Number 6 is to the left of number 5, has a significant dieback, and it's hanging over the parking areas, the buildings, some walkways. Actually, when I was there was actually a branch on a vehicle that had come down.
No longer connected to the tree.
Correct.
How old is the apartment complex?
The property was built, I believe, in the mid-40s.
Right after the war.
Yeah.
And how, are the trees that vintage? Or are they more recent?
Pardon me?
Are the trees?
How old are the trees? They put in at the same time, or are they more recently replanted?
There's some older trees there. They're
But we don't know for sure how old they are.
Thank you.
We don't have those plans or anything like that. You know, kind of, based on diameter, I would say probably they're about 60 to 70 years old, so probably put them in that time frame. But it's really difficult to tell age from diameter.
Photo number 7 is a gigantic pin oak, and it's hanging right over top of Building C. We pruned that a few times also. Number 8's pin oak right in the corner. Has a lot of dieback. Number 9's next to it. Has a lot of dieback. Number 10 is in between Building C and some parking garages as a real restricted root zone. It's starting to get a lot of dieback. The picture doesn't really do it justice. I just took a picture to show everybody.
So by not doing it justice, it looks worse than it does in the
Uh,
picture.
I believe so, yes. Number 11 is an extremely large red oak. It has a lot of dieback. It's hanging over Building B on David Drive and a swimming pool. Number 12 is just a small declining dogwood. Thirteen is a beech with a large beech with no top and a lot of dead wood in it. It's It's right here, hanging over Charles Drive, Building J. Bark's falling off.
That's an American beach?
Yes.
Do you know?
That's why we decided to put 2 American beaches in with the replantings.
Is there much left of the root system there, do you think? American beaches sometimes will resprout from their stump. Do you think there's any reason to?
No,
try to
there's
let that be-
actually a wall around it, and I think it's part of the reason why it's not doing so well.
Yeah, okay.
Number 14 is just it's right up here. It's a declining pin oak, and it's hanging over the parking area. It's had multiple branches break out. Number 15 is a Norway maple. The first crotch has got a big crack in it. It's actually over a building and a walkway. It needs to come down.
Yeah, it's a bad crotch, and there's quite a crack on the.
Correct.
Yeah.
Number 16 is a box elder.
I haven't seen any box elders that big around here.
This must be crawling with buck elder bug.
What's wrong with that?
Pardon me?
What's wrong with this one?
It's a box.
It's a box elder.
But it has dead in it.
Yes, it does.
It's-
It's pretty close to the parking area. It's
Of the trees, it's one that can take, it's often considered a weed tree but could take these conditions fairly well, but it's not looking like it's taking the conditions well. So,
it's not in a good spot either.
yeah, good.
Number 17 is a red oak, and that has a significant dieback. The location of the tree over the road, a walkway, and a building. We recommend it comes down.
When these 17 come down, there's still significant big trees left that are there, so,
There are tons
Yeah.
of them,
okay.
yes.
So you're not taking 17 out of 25 out, it's.
Not at all. and
Even if
we're-
you were, that, I mean, there are good reasons, looks to me like, to take these out. But it's nice to know
We're
it's not
actually-
being denuded, yeah.
A large pruning process is going to, once again this year, we've been doing it for multiple years, and we're just going through, taking the dead out. We don't propose taking down any trees that we don't think are a risk or a hazard.
Comments?
Just, no, there's all reasons for these all to come down. I know the site, it's been neglected for some time, and they finally doing some stuff, so that's great. Can we go over your replacements again? I didn't see that.
Okay.
Did you want to make
And they're all
any
marked in
comments
yellow.
On the plants at
Correct.
all that are going back in,
Sorry?
Bill?
With the white oaks and the American beeches, those I would think are the most sensitive to the soil. And so you're putting them, I imagine, in the places with the best soil and the largest area that the roots could grow, least compaction.
Yes, there's not going to be much compaction on the site. I mean, they're not running machines around this area and stuff like that. It's mostly people walking around. The other day when I was there, they did have some paving going on, but they weren't going off, they're just paving.
Yeah, so I would suggest just trying to put those in your best soil situations and places where there are fewest people cutting across.
Yes.
To walk and whatever. Douglas firs, I'm trying to think what, Oriental spruce, I'm not sure what all we have on our list, but I think an Oriental spruce might give you a similar effect and might do better in the long run than a Douglas fir.
Okay.
Yeah, we have some real needle cast problems with the firs. They're just not that long lived. So if you wanted maybe to supplement that fir with the Oriental spruce or something beside the fir would actually be a little bit better of a plant maybe.
That's fine.
Yeah, than that.
Whatever you recommend.
Yeah, that would be great. And even with your white pines, if we had so many problems with the white pines, maybe if you want to go with some cryptomeria or western arborvitae or something besides a white pine, if you have space for it, it would be might be a little better for the community, rather than have to be worried about storm damage later.
Yeah.
Okay.
A similar effect would be Japanese white pine or Korean pine, a Korean white pine. If they're harder to find, but if you're able to find them and if it fits within the budget, that they would, I think they hold up better in the storms too, like
Yeah.
we've had.
And or even a fastigiate white pine
And fastigial white pines do also.
is a good
yeah.
plant too. That would be in a tight spot. So rather than just a regular white pine, it would be a little bit better for the community. That a little more interest too.
Okay.
When you're taking all these trees down. So
So I think you showed just good justification for the trees coming down. I think you've got an excellent plant list.
Thank
So it
you.
looks like you've thought it out quite well.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you.
So that was Charles Drive, right? Yeah, so 228 Radnor Chester. Right. Yes, you're off by that. Good evening.
Good evening. My name's Dean Deal. I'm from Shriner Tree Care. And I'm asking permission to remove 11 trees, 2 of which are heritage trees. This started with a white oak that we've been taking care of for about 5 years now. And through the winter, we pruned this tree out each of the 5 years we've worked there. I was walking up the back. 2 years ago, we cabled it. I was walking up from the back of the property and noticed beam cracks in the largest branches coming off this oak. They were significant, way over 6 feet long. And you could see the sun rising in the east as I was coming from the west, which is the back of the property. It's a magnificent tree, fully leafed out, but the structure is horrible. We own a resistograph down low at chest level, tested fine. Up from my head up to about 12 feet, I go in 8 to 12 inches before it even registers. So this has decay in the trunk. The picture that you're probably looking at shows that big cavity that has vines and small trees growing out of it. And the 2 large stems that are above that, one heads over to the homeowners.
Do you want to show the picture on the
I don't
screen?
have.
Oh,
I
you
didn't-
don't have?
I
okay,
wanted to give you, okay, thanks.
Great.
The,
And this is a pin oak, is that
no,
right?
this is an ash, white ash.
Okay, you're talking about white ash, okay.
This is a stinker, but this right here.
Do you want to flip, actually, I think it's such that it looks, yeah, right side up to you, then it's actually good for this camera.
This is the center of the tree. There's a cavity down here, and then this is something that I could see.
And the microphone too, I'm sorry, yeah.
Doing this wrong.
Very
huh?
good.
This is a cavity down below, and then this is a large cavity that I could sit in up above, where the vines and the smaller saplings are growing out of. So up at the top of the tree at about a 12 to 15-foot level, there's not a lot there. I don't even know why it's standing. Those 2 arms that are going off from there are holding on, except for maybe the cables we put them in a few years ago. And a cable doesn't make an unsafe tree safe. I'm worried that there's too much pressure put on the cables to begin with. During this last storm we had, this family had virtually no limbs down on the ground, which means either we're pruning the right limbs off or that it didn't get the blast that other people got, because even the Norway maples and things, that our weak trees on this property didn't give up many branches. So I think they were lucky, because this is the first place I went the next morning to see, oh my gosh, did I wait too long? The picture that I'm putting on top now is showing these cracks, one heading over towards the Herman's house, and the other one is heading over towards the neighbor to the left, which is the south.
And this is still the white, the
And it's
white
still,
ash,
this is all the ash we're talking about.
55
And the reason why I'm doing that, this triggered the rest of this work. So when I lost faith in this tree, even though it had a full canopy and the structure is horrible, I asked Ms. Herman if I could quote them a price to remove this tree because it's monumental. And then I got into how would I even do it. If you're convinced, and I'm not asking that right now, that this tree should be removed, I can't get in there and do it with climbers or a bucket. These limbs are too big, and I don't think they could take a load, any kind of shock load, lowering limbs down. So we have to bring a crane in. Now, there's a path that we get to the back of the property to clean it up that leads back to the creek that I can get a truck through there. I can actually get a crane through there. But this tree that I'm pointing at now is a pin oak that actually blocks the crane a bit, and the one to the left of it looks better than this, but it only has a third of its canopy, so the two pin oaks have to be removed. The piece that I'm showing right now, where my pen's running up and down, this is the path we want to go in to get this big ash out of here. So if I go down this aisle, I have to remove those two pin oaks to get down there. On the left, there's a lot of brush, Japanese honeysuckle, privet, a lot of things. Once I get back here, see where I have D marked on that plan?
Is that D as in David?
Yes.
Okay.
C, of course, is the big white ash that I want to remove. D is a beautiful crabapple, but that's where I have to park the crane. I have to keep it as close to the tree as possible because of the massive canopy and the heavy wood that we have to lift it out of it. So the Hermans would rather not remove that tree. It's a nice tree. We've been maintaining that too, but that's where I have to set a vehicle. So we talked about A, the pin oaks, to get to C, the ash tree, D, to park the crane. B is a row of 6 slightly mature white pines that screen the two neighbors, the Hermans and their neighbor to the south. And as they grow, of course, the only screening is up 30, 40 feet. There's actually nothing that screens house to house because they're too thin. There's so many trees on this, I haven't shown them all here, that there's not enough light that gets in there, so the pines are very thin. So I want to remove those white pines, and the Hermans would like to plant 6 cryptomerias in place of those. If you'll wander over to E, the other side of the driveway, that's an odd tree that I was trying to keep, but I'm giving up now. It doesn't have armillaria rot, but it has something almost as bad. You can tuck your finger up under the flare root on the driveway side. There's virtually all dead rooting on the Herman side of their driveway, and the only good structure part of it is off to the north, to the neighbors to the north. So that sycamore maple must come down. That also has a full canopy. These trees, they look good, it's just their structure is horrible. I haven't shown all the trees, but just something came to mind. At the front right corner of the house is, I think, the number 2 in the Pennsylvania big tree list, umbrella pine. These folks love the trees they have and don't want to lose any of them. But now it's like irresponsible to keep them. And that's my thoughts, and you can ask me anything you'd like.
And you brought up the umbrella pine just to show
Just to
that
show
they
that
love
they care about
trees and they
trees.
care.
They don't want to lose that. They have Norway maples there that are big, that they're gnarly and kind of yucky looking, but they're there. So they're not asking to remove them. They want to keep them. And the whole front is shaded. It's a shaded acre plus, which actually leads up to something you'll probably ask. What are they going to do to replace for the standard that you have as a replant? It's it's useless to put anything in the front there. It's just, there's too many trees now. The only thing we could do is put something in the back, or I have to get permission from the Hermans, I'm just bringing this up, or pay for trees to be planted somewhere else off-site. Maybe the Hermans would want more in the back, but they have trees in the back also. I think that's all I have to tell you right now.
So, how many trees are coming out again?
11.
11?
2 of which are heritage trees, unfortunately. The 37-inch sycamore maple and the 55-inch white ash, which covers 2 huge properties. Pardon?
Just big tree.
Big trees.
Well, the tree, I mean, there's dead pin oaks and the big ash. It's all pretty hazardous stuff. It's all pretty hazardous stuff, Dean.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they gotta go.
So, so it seems to me that this would be approved. We will assume that they'll plant the 15 trees as required on their property. If they want to come back and appeal that, then they
Then
can.
we'll bring up the,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Right.
Any other questions, though?
I don't think so. They
Have a good evening.
look hazardous, so thank you very much. We have one hazardous tree report. It's 810 Mill Road. It's a 42-inch black oak with decay at the base, and the top of the tree is dead. Jim Ward inspected it and approved so that's already been approved and taken care of. So just reporting that. Any other business? Thank you all very much.